Hi, Tina. Thank you for resubmitting this. Let's see what you wrote in your set. I'll see if I can find the image. I'm not so sure about that, but let's see. Uh, both graphics, the line graph and the pie chart, provide information, not on. You don't provide on something. You provide something, or you provide information on. That would have been my preferred expression here. So let's try that. Both graphics, the line graph and the pie chart, provide information about crime in the UK over the last year, illustrating the correlation of age in numbers and the variety of crime in four categories in percentage. Overall, most crime is committed by adolescents and young adults, and the most common crime is violence related. Okay, probably should have had a dash here. As I said, I can't open the chart, so that's a problem. I need to be able to refer to it, but okay, I'll see what I can do. One main feature that shines out, avoid this expression. It's not an IELTS task one type of expression that is used. So you could have said one main feature that stands out, but even that's not necessary. You've already pointed out your overview, so we know what that is. So maybe you could have used a different expression here. So, let's see. One main feature, uh, yeah, I see what you're trying to do. All right. So one main feature that stands out is the expression is the high number of crimes in adolescence and young adulthood. There's no the in front of adolescence. The graph peaks at the age of 20. It's not the graph. It's you needed to use a different expression here. The graph doesn't peak. It's not the graph doing it, but it's simply the I'm assuming the prevalence of crime. You didn't tell us if it's in numbers. I'm not really sure. Oh yeah, you did say in numbers, but let's see. Uh, you could have said that crime peaks at the age of 20 with the highest number at 80,000. Okay, so that's how I would have rewritten this sentence. Crime peaks at the age of 20 with the highest number at 80,000. The first crimes are described after the age of 8. I don't understand what that means. Not the first, maybe the earliest crimes are not described, maybe recorded would have been a better word. So the first crimes are recorded after the age of 8, but only after the age of 12 does the graph experience a steep rise toward the age of 18 and a slower rise from 16 to 18. Now, let me tell you what the problem with this is. Oh, wait, let me finish this. Let me see. Whereas the number of crimes at the age of 12 is only 5,000. Just say 5,000, or actually 50,000. So that must have been 80, 100, 800,000. So just use the number. This is confusing, this tens of thousands. So is only 50,000. 70,000 are measured at the age of 16. Okay, that was going to be my complaint. That you talked to me about ages, but you didn't tell me about the number while you were talking about them. It probably would have been more efficient to talk about the number of crimes as you were talking about the ages, okay? Because you kind of described them and you could have thrown in some numbers here and it would have saved you from having to write this extra sentence here, okay? So it would have just, not this, wait, here we go. So it would have saved you this sentence here, and I think it would have been more concise, more compact, and I probably would have would have preferred that. So it could have been something like, the earliest crimes are reported after the age of 8 at approximately blah, 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 whatever that number is. Only after the age of 12 does the graph experience a steep rise from 50,000 toward the age of 16 at 70,000. Okay, so I would have done something like that. After the aforementioned peak, which is the peak? The one at, where'd you say it was? At 20? I don't know if you want to say the aforementioned. I guess you could. It just feels a little distant from what you've been saying to use aforementioned. So, after the aforementioned peak, a rapid decline can be observed, resulting in a relatively low number of crimes at the age of 28, with, I guess, 200,000. From this point on, comma, a continuous reduction uh, in crime ends at a small rate of only 5 to 10 at the age of 60, the oldest age data was collected from. Okay, fine. The most interesting feature of the pie chart, oh, okay, is that violence makes up almost half of all crimes with 46%. Good. In contrast to this finding, public order crime has only a small proportion with under 10%, and both property and drug crime share the same percentage with only 20%. Okay, so my first question to you, excuse me, is that it? Are those the only categories you had? You just had a pie chart with 4 pieces of information: violence, property, drug, and public order? So that's the first question I have, because if there were other categories, you needed to at least mention them. As I said, I don't have the image in front of me. I can't open it. So it is important to know that whatever categories are given to you, you need to mention them. It might have been just 4, and if that's the case, then that's fine. I thought you did a good job. I thought you spent a lot of time talking about the line graph, which might have been appropriate because it sounds like there was more information there. Um, so it's okay. I mean, you don't have to spend like an equal amount talking about both. So it seems fine to me. Again, I would have really appreciated seeing the graph so I could tell you if you left something out, if there was some maybe piece of information or some important feature that you should have emphasized. So that's why it's really important for me to be able to see these. I'll take another look in your email to see if you've included it. Tried, but that's just not possible. All right. So I thought you did a good job. Again, I am just a little reluctant to give you like a lot of praise about it because I don't have the graph in front of me. And so it's hard to know if maybe there were some things you missed or, should have emphasized what you didn't. Okay. In any case, let's take a look at your task 2, which we should get a better feel about here. All right. Technology brought us together, driven us apart, discussed both viewpoints. Okay. The last century is characterized by a fast development of new technologies, whereas some people argue that this progress improves contact between humans, others argue that new technologies separate them. Modern technologies have, without a doubt, contributed to an easier connection between people and cultures all over the world. But virtual life and distraction due to social media reduce real contact to no S and may result in social deprivation. In the following essay, we'll elaborate on these arguments and give my own opinion after the discussion. Okay. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what this little box is telling me. I have no idea. My first concern is with some of your paragraphing. So let me tell you what I mean. So you've got and this might have just been the program you used, the fact that you were typing into your email. I'm not sure. But you've got your introduction here, and then it looks like you hit enter, and then you have another paragraph here. This isn't how you need to do your introduction. Your introduction should be one body. It should just be one chunk of a paragraph. And then really the best thing you can do is to hit enter and leave an entire space between your introduction and your next paragraph. And that's true for each of your paragraphs. The best thing to do is leave an entire line between them. Okay? Because paragraphing is very important at the higher levels of coherence and cohesion. If your paragraphing is not clear, or you have random breaks, or you don't paragraph enough, or you paragraph too much, this is going to affect your coherence and cohesion score. Okay? So this is one of the reasons why we recommend 4-paragraph structure, where you've got an introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Okay? All right, now let's talk about the next thing. I don't know how familiar you are, Tina, with the band descriptors, but they're widely available online. If you haven't seen them, I want you to look at task achievement under band 7. It says presents a clear position throughout the essay. So there's a lot to kind of unpack there. The first thing is what position is. Your position is your answer to whatever whatever the command or whatever the question is. So a lot of times it will say, to what extent do you agree or disagree? Or sometimes it will say, discuss advantages and disadvantages. Or other times in cases like this, it says, discuss both viewpoints and give your own opinion. So your position is your answer to this command. Okay? And here they're very directly asking you for your opinion. So the next word that we have to really kind of analyze is the word throughout. Okay, remember it says presents a clear position throughout the response. Throughout means from the beginning to the end. Okay, so the best way to make your position clear from the beginning is to express it very directly in your introduction. Okay, so here instead, what you wrote is, I will elaborate on these arguments and give my own opinion after the discussion. No, if you do that, then we're not going to know your position until the very end of your essay. And that's like you're sending your examiner, like, how can I say this, down a road without a map. And examiners don't want that. They want the roadmap. They want to know where they're going. Okay, which is why it's important to answer this, your own opinion, put it in the introduction. Okay, so that's that. Let's talk about this now. We don't say on the one side, we say on the one hand and on the other hand, not on the other side. We don't use this expression. I know it's used in a lot of other languages. In English, for some reason, we use hand instead of side. Don't know why. So on one hand, new technologies enable, no S, contact to people of other countries and cultures. That's a little awkward. You don't enable contact to people. You can say new technologies enable people to contact others of other countries. That's still a little odd. How about this? This one is even better. On the one hand, new technologies allow contact or enables contact between people of different countries and cultures. Okay, that works. For instance, we don't say internet, we say the internet. For instance, the internet is one of the most influencing new technologies. Here you do need an IES of our century and allows people to get in contact via email, Skype, or other social media. All right, again, I don't know what's going on with this paragraphing. It should have just been one big chunk here, okay? So it allows us to maintain friendships with people living on another continent. Another example of a technology which connects people is modern transport, as such as, you're missing a such, planes or high-speed trains. Areas and their people which have not been able to, careful with your grammar, areas and their people which have not been easily accessible can now be visited. Both inventions result in an improvement of social contacts. All right, so the first thing I want to do is just check. Has brought us together. Others say it has driven us apart. And so what you've decided to talk about is the internet, right? Yes. And then you've talked about transport. Okay, that's fine. On the other hand, again, we were talking about this. On the other hand, new technologies can also lead to social deprivation and loneliness. Besides connecting people, the internet also separates them. Again, this should be one paragraph. Social media brings people to life in a virtual world, sometimes not even feeling lonely, but it results in a lack of real friendships, which we need in periods of trouble. Okay, why? I feel like this definitely needs more development. Okay. So if it's a virtual world, why isn't it a real friendship? Why are these less important or less effective than friendships that happen in face to face life? Okay. So you needed to go a little more in detail about this. A second technology which can not only connect but also separate people is the cell phone. Okay. Before its invention, people were chatting in the public transport, talking to each other on the streets, asking for directions. It's not one direction, it's always directions, just to name some examples. Today, they are absorbed by their cell phones and forget about their surroundings, again, plural. Okay, now here you needed a new paragraph. I gotta be honest, I feel like this should have been developed a little more. I feel like there was more to say, there was more depth to give it. Okay, so what's the result? They forget about their soundings. Okay, and all right. So you could say that this is actually, instead of bringing people together, it has created more isolation. It has created an apathy to one's fellow human. It has, allowed us all to kind of disappear into these imaginary worlds and, makes us disconnected from our fellow citizen. Okay. So I really wanted you to go into a little more depth here. Okay. In fact, I would have probably said that about both paragraphs, that they both needed a little more development. So, to sum up, modern technology has, not have, has positive and negative effects regarding social contacts. While the internet and cell phones make contact easier and faster, they also reduce real personal contacts. All right. You also talked about transport in your paragraphs, in your first paragraph. So you shouldn't talk just about internet and cell phones. You should have also brought about this whole thing about transport. Overall, I believe the benefits of modern technology outweigh the drawbacks regarding social life, and that we have to learn how to use them in order to avoid negative effects. Therefore, modern technologies should be implemented as a subject in school. It should be syllabi, really, plural, not just one syllabus, and so be part of the education. Okay. So it was fine. I mean, your grammar is good. But there were some little things that I thought could have taken this essay really to the next level. I thought it needed more development. I definitely wanted you to clarify your position in your introduction. Okay, so those two issues have to do with task achievement. Okay, and the whole thing about the way your paragraphing worked, that deals with coherence and cohesion. Um, so those two things for me are really important and need to be worked on, which is kind of a good thing because those are writing skills, and it's easier to improve writing skills than it is, for example, vocabulary or grammar. Okay. So I believe this is a single essay that you've purchased. I encourage you to look at the other packages, the other programs we offer to see how we can continue working together and help you get your reach your IELTS goals. Okay. So thanks for sending this in. Good luck to you.